podcast. Today, I'm not sure where this podcast is going to go. We have Craig with us, and I absolutely admire Craig because he is so vulnerable, so open, so honest. But before this recording started, we seem to have laughed our heads off about a numerous amount of things. But Craig, if you can do a quick introduction on who you are, what you stand for, and then we can get into your story and have a few laughs on the way.
Firstly, name's Craig Paton, from Glasgow in Scotland. As you can tell by my lovely dulcet tones, did make Fish nearly pee his pants before we started, and it was quite funny. We'll try and keep this as serious as we can. Really, for me, a massive victory and a feather in my cap would be to really put a smile back in the face of the construction industry. We're bereft by poor mental health, suicide, addiction, and it's just things that nobody's talking about just now. So for me to make a big dent in that would really it would put a bit of purpose in my life, to be really honest.
I think having a laugh is so important. It's just so vital, isn't it? But I wanna go straight deep into that. I really do, because there's something I admire about you, and that's your vulnerability. Like, it takes so much courage to openly speak about your burnout, your depression, your alcohol addiction, your cocaine addiction, all of this stuff. You openly speak about it. Mate, I absolutely admire you. I want to know, firstly, how you have that much courage to post on LinkedIn your troubles, but also have such a positive community who actually stand up with you when you're feeling down. They lift you up. I think it's just absolutely inspirational, like how open and vulnerable you are. How'd you do it? How'd you do it? What's your secret?
I think for me there's about 10 questions you've asked me in there.
Yeah, I have.
I'll try and decipher bit by bit to say I've cracked it. No. Every single day is a struggle. Every day it has its own challenges. And I think it's just, I always look at it that, excuse me, I'm a health and safety guy. Stop the recording, don't hang up.
Don't judge
Nobody
you.
likes to talk to the health and safety dude, but I think that's it's a big part of who I am, is just speaking to people and putting things into layman's terms. And for me, I look at it as a risk assessment and how can I put in control measures to make my day more reasonable? What can I do to lighten my mood? What can I do to cheer me up first thing in the morning? And it's like you and I were speaking about it before this podcast. It's the tiny things, it's the tweaks that you make to your life. Do you know, even if it's something simple like making your bed, do you know, brushing your teeth, setting out your clothes for the next day, perhaps. It could be anything. But I always find that it's those tiny, tiny things that make a difference to your day. You mentioned there about LinkedIn. For me, there was a podcast that I was on, and it was funny because I've said this a few times now, but I said that I feel like a spokesman for the people that didn't make it. And that gives me so much purpose that the people aren't here to tell their story. They're not where you are. They're not where I am. We're the lucky ones. We are the ones that came out the other side. So for me, it doesn't offend me. It doesn't. I've not got feelings anymore when it comes to doing that kind of stuff. And if I'm putting my life on the line and telling people about the bad stuff that comes with addiction or the depression or the anxiety, if that helps somebody, then do you know what? Who am I to get feelings about it? Do you know, it's almost like putting myself second, but at the same time there is that element of hope, and that's
Mm.
why, especially the likes of the post today, was just to say that, listen, I had a bad day, I've had a bad year. Do you know, I've had relationship problems with work, I've had financial difficulties, I've had all these things. Do you know, you're not alone. We all have these things, but 2026 will be better. Do you know that there's hope? There's always hope. And I think when we give up on hope is when we can spiral into a dark place. Do you know?
Yeah, I love that. I've actually got, so I love tattoos, so I've got a full sleeve, and on my arm I've got a lion's face, and the reason for that is because I believe, they're the most powerful creatures on this planet. It's slightly debatable, but we won't go into that debate. They're a powerful animal, the king of the jungle or whatnot. But on the tip of the nose, I've got a butterfly, and that butterfly represents hope. So no matter how strong you are, no matter how much you have to provide, no matter how much you have to give, no matter how powerful you think you are or whatever, you've always got to have hope that your next meal is going to be there, or tomorrow is going to be a little bit better, or next year is going to be a little bit better. We live off hope, don't we? I think that's such an important topic.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you have that hope because your journey hasn't been easy, and I want to go like backwards, right? What was your upbringing like? What was you like as a teenager? What was you like as a young adult? Was you quite mischievous? You sound like a bit of a lad. I want to
No,
know. I want to
no,
know that.
no. Me?
Really?
Me?
Yeah, you. Yeah,
Never.
you. Yeah, you, mate.
Do you see the halo, mate? Do you see it? It's there. Basically,
I see
it's
devil horns, mate.
mate, it's been a labour of love, do you know, and a labour of
Okay.
hate. Do you know, it's to go back to the start. It's funny because I'll tell you a wee story whilst I'm
Okay.
doing this. So I was at an award ceremony. I won't say who because they'll probably know who I'm talking about. But there was a woman and she said, "Oh, so what was your upbringing like, Craig?" And I said, "My childhood was fantastic. My mum and dad are great people. They're still here. My wee gran, she's still alive. 90-year-old going on 91 and still kicking about. Do you know, it's..." She says, "Oh, but there must have been something from your childhood." And I went, "There was absolutely nothing." He says, "Oh, but was there a form?" And she was really digging, do you know, to make it's almost like there had to be something there. Do you know, she said, "Oh, you must have been, were you molested as a kid? Or were you beaten as a kid? Or what?" And it was like, no, 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 no. I just enjoyed life, do you know? And a lot of the people that, I mean, I started drinking at 14. I think most people and people that will listen to this podcast would probably say the same, that it's when you do the naughty stuff, you're 14 years old, you know, you try a cigarette or you try a drink for the first time. So I think we've all been there, do you know, down the park with our friends. But most of the people that I admired, it was always rock stars. Do you know, it was always your Jim Morrisons, your Kurt Cobains, do you know, all these guys that it was like live fast. It was like live fast, die young, leave a good looking corpse. That was the way that I viewed life. Do you know, that was the way my life was going to go because these guys were cool. Do you know, they were really cool. They were dead, but they were really cool. Do you know? And
What is
for
it
me,
about what is it about being cool that was appealing to you? Is it just a young boy kind of phase, or what
I
was
think
it?
it was just a young boy phase. Do you know, I wanted to be in a band when I was a kid, hence like the tattoos and stuff like that. But I had my long hair and my ripped jeans and Guns N' Roses t-shirts or Metallica t-shirts, and that was before it was trendy. Do you know, so that was me setting the trend. Fish, you know, the crack. That was me
Yeah, yeah,
setting it.
yeah.
You know,
Trendsetter,
planting
yeah.
the seed, mate. Planting the seed. But that was that life. I thought that was kind of cool. Be up all night, sleep all day. Do you know, random chicks and all that stuff. Do you know, that was just the rock star life kind of appealed to me. I thought, do you know, you see your family and it's like not even 95, it's like 76 or whatever, and you go, no, that's me. I'm going to sleep all day. Do you know, I'm going to get drunk, and that is going to be so cool. But it's funny because that life that when life kind of slaps you in the face and you go, right, I can't be a rock star anymore. That dream might have ended, but I still kept partying like a rock star. Do you know, that was the thing, excuse me, that was the thing that I couldn't turn off. I
Mm.
wanted that life. And unfortunately, when I was in construction and when I started out, that was still the thing. Well, that was still the vice. It was still the smoking and the drinking and the drugs, and that was still really cool. But at the end of the day, mate, I was in construction. I wasn't a rock star anymore, but I was still trying to live that life.
Well, just to put this out there, I think in construction you are a rock star now because you're pretty well known in the industry, and
Yeah.
you you got you, maybe don't ever do that again. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, no, that you've got such an amazing message and you share it to so many people. But what did you start off in construction as? Was it a labourer or did you start off as a skilled trade?
So I ended when the dream died of being a rock star. Do you know? I did think, right, this is me. I need to become an adult. What can I do? And I started working with my cousin. I was just doing manual labour to him. It was doing driveways and stuff like that. So just laying monoblock or drainage or just that kind of stuff. The big man would make all the money, and I'm just the hired help. Do you know, that's crippled, going out of a building site, kind of walking like a deck chair. But
Yeah.
I started in that, and then I'd said to my dad was a foreman with Balfour Beatty, and I'd said to my dad, listen, is there any chance I could work with you, earn some more money, and, do you know, see where it goes? Do you know, I'd always knew I was quite a clever guy without being too conceited. Always knew I had a good head on my shoulders if I could utilise it and get sober. Unfortunately, it wasn't for about another 14 years before I managed to get my head straight. So as I say, started off on the tools, Balfour Beatty, 13, 14 years, just good times, mate. Do you know what? A lot of people say that, oh, it's horrible and I hate that stuff and it's oh, that must be murder. You're out in the rain, you're out in the snow, mate, I love it. And that is the reason why you said a rock star, but I just prefer to say just a humbled guy. That I'm in health and safety now, but I've been on the tools. I know exactly how the guys feel. Do you know? I know how it feels to be working away from your family or working in the cold or working with a hangover. I get it. I understand it. Do you know, there's not many people in the ivory tower that can look at guys and have that same kind of empathy. And I think that's something that's massively missing in the construction industry is empathy, because
Mm.
these guys didn't have the background that I have. There's not many health and safety people that do have the background that I have. And unfortunately for myself, that's the way that it is. As I said, I was on the tools all those years, and there was one of my friends, he was actually crushed. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a big Rangers fan. My friend Davey was a big Celtic fan, and I still miss that. I still miss the camaraderie of the two of us slagging one another.
Mm.
He went to work one day and he didn't go home. That kills me. It still kills me to this day, and that's the reason that I get into health and safety, was to prevent what happened to Davey and ultimately myself from happening to anybody else. And I think I know it's a Simon Sinek thing, but that's my why, that's my purpose, is to prevent what happened to Davey happening to anybody else, and kind of touch wood, it won't happen on my watch, because I do genuinely care. And if I see guys
Mm.
working unsafe, then guys will attest to this, that I sit them down and I tell them that story. Do you know, it threw my life off a cliff, because drinking and drugs, everything in moderation is great, do you know, but how often are we treading water? Do you know, when something bad happens, that's when, do you know, the drinking becomes too much, it becomes intolerable. And that certainly did. It threw me off a cliff, mate. Then I would
So
sinking into oblivion.
what happened to your? I don't know if you can't share, then I totally understand. But what happened to your friend? Like, what was the accident?
So it was just a routine refueling incident. Working on, the case is closed now, so I could speak about it. It was up on the Denny to Bewley line up in the E9 in Scotland. From my knowledge, there was a roller came onto site, one of the big rollers with the cabs, and guy came onto site, didn't have any fuel in the tank, and Davey, being Davey, he was one of the excavator drivers, and he said to the guy, listen, come alongside my machine, take half of my tank of diesel, and then you've got half, I've got half, and then we'll go up at the end of the shift. Great idea. Davey was banking him back. Next thing you know, he's gone. Do you know the way they layer the stone? Do you know, you've from the capping levels to like your 6F2 to your Type 1, it's, do you know, it's down in a kind of step. And to my knowledge, he was just banking him back, and then the roller crushed him. Do you know? So he was crushed. He died on site that day. Word quickly gets about, as you know, and then when you're reading a toolbox talk a month later, and it's one of the guys that you know, that's a killer. It's a pardon the pun. It's horrible. It really is, and that's a hard one to take, mate. And it's still a hard one. Do you know? And thankfully, I'm older now and I'm wiser than I was when that incident occurred. Probably about 10 years ago, off the top of my head. Do you know? It's been a long time, but the scars are still there. Do you know? It's something I don't speak to many people about, and it's funny because I genuinely don't speak on podcasts about it either. It's just passed away, and that's it. Do you know? It's never something that I go into detail about.
Can I ask how you now? Obviously, I don't think you can ever heal from anything like that, but genuinely, this is the three words, 9 letters we preach to every construction worker to ask. But genuinely, I really want to know how are you, Craig? Are you all right?
Is anybody okay? Do you know, that's a hard one for me to answer. Do you know, and I genuinely think that's a hard one for everybody to answer. Do you know, life's never, show me somebody that's at 100% and I'll show you a liar. Do you know, that's the way that I think about things. You'll have a millionaire that's so bloody lonely. Do you know, and at the same time you'll have people that don't have money that are the richest people in the world because they've got family and they've got faith and they've got a good job, do you know, but I don't think anybody's 100%, mate, and I would love to see somebody that is. Maybe kids. I think maybe kids could be close to 100%, do you know, but then they would look at YouTube and say, oh, I want to be that dude, do you know, but I don't know, mate. I think for me, it's, as I'd said, it's looking at control measures for ways to get through life, to navigate through life, because, do you know, when I do talks, I know I'm kind of jumping a few steps ahead,
No,
but
you're all right.
when I do talks, I always say that tagline is, it'll never happen to me, because we all think that. Do you know, that fatalities, that'll never happen to me. Alcohol addiction, that'll never happen to me. Do you know, whereas we all know somebody that's passed away. We all know somebody that's lost their gran or whoever to cancer. We all know somebody that's, you know, we all know these. We all know somebody that lost their life to COVID. We all know somebody that's suffering through depression. Unfortunately, a lot of people know somebody that's lost their life to suicide. Do you know, or lost somebody that's close to somebody that's lost their life to suicide. And it's that way, mate, that there's not many people in the UK or worldwide for that matter that would be excellent. And I know I've just rambled for about 5 minutes there, but
No, you're right.
I'd say in the grand scheme of things, I could be better and I could be worse. Do you know? And I think that's just a British thing to just plod on and just keep doing what we're doing. Keep calm and carry on. It's that old kind of adage, but it's true though, mate. Do you know, I think if we genuinely sat down and thought about life and where we are and where we thought we could be and should be, do you know, it's a hard one, mate, because that kind of relates back to that post earlier, and it's just about being in the present. Do you know, there's nothing we can do, mate. I could sit here all day and think about Davey. I could think about my mate Danny drinking himself to death. I could think about all these things that happened in my life, and it wouldn't get me anywhere, mate. Do you know? Or I could think about the future and think, oh, what if something happens to the kids? Or what if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't? What's the point? Do you know what? I'm here today, and it is a gift. Because as I say, I feel like that spokesman for the people that didn't make it, and that's my gift, I suppose, without sounding too pretentious. Do you know that gives me solace, is what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way.
Yeah, speechless because that's so much to absorb there. But one thing that as I said so many times already on this podcast, is something I admire about you is your vulnerability, because you're right. When you start speaking the way you speak, it really does open other people up. And, it's something I don't often do on my own podcast is share, I'm not 100%. I'm not even close. You know what, Craig? Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I said this to you before the podcast, but I can't bloody lift this arm above my head right now, and it's killing me. Like, even sitting here right now, my arm, this part of my shoulder
Yeah.
is just throbbing. And on top of that, my dog, who I absolutely love to bits, is literally my best friend. He's hurt his paw, and it's been like this for a month now, and it's really like, oh my God, it takes a huge toll, because the bill for that is like 2 grand, and then on top of that, my car's just broken down again. So you think, like, on the public domain, on social media and stuff, I think we all put this little character on of, everything's doing really well, I've got this,
Yeah.
whatever. But in real life, I think we're all just going through it.
That's it, mate. And as I said, that's kind of why I'm so vulnerable, because when I see all these posts, and I've refrained from putting on this year, but I might do the same, just to say, like, oh, there's my award. I'm the health and safety champion for 2025, and everybody clapped me, and it
Yay!
was so great, and I did this and I did that, and my team are so good. And it's like, the guys on site couldn't pick you out of a lineup. Do you know, that's why I do these posts, because it's not to do with money. Do you know, we spoke about it before this. It's never about money. Do you know that, if anything, doing these podcasts and traveling the UK and doing talks down in Birmingham last week, do you know, I'm doing it for nothing. Do you know, it's people covering my expenses. Do you know, and I think that's the thing that does motivate me, is the fact that it isn't about money. Do you know, and I know you're good friends with James, so
Mm,
similar. And that's why I
yeah.
love that guy, because he shoots for the hip. He speaks the way that I speak, and it's never about money. And if somebody genuinely wants to change the world and they speak the way we speak, I'm all for it, mate. Do you know?
Love
And it
that.
is putting these posts on just to say, do you know what? I'm not putting a brave face on things. Do you know, if you looked at my podcast, just trying to make people laugh, you'd think I'm the happiest guy on the planet. Do you know, we had a chat before this, and the two
Yeah.
of us were buckled.
Yeah.
That's the face. Do you know, that's the face we put on, mate. I put these posts on just to say to you guys, listen, I know you're suffering. I know that life's hard. I know life sucks at times, but I'm going through it as well, do you know? And if you're suffering, pick up the bloody phone, send me a message, do you know? And I always give out my card at the end of every talk, and I just say, listen, text me. I genuinely care. I'm not one of
Mm,
these people that it's a faceless HR person or a faceless health and safety person, like the Phantom of the bloody Opera, that just creeps about and they're working unsafe, get them sacked, and oh, he stinks a drink, sack him. Because
mm.
I've always been the guy that fights for people to get them away for that kind of stuff. I shouldn't say that, but I do, and
No, but I get that.
it's things that I genuinely care about, mate. Do you know? And it's going back to that, what's your why? What's your purpose? What gets you out of
Mm,
bed in the morning? And for me, that's it in a nutshell. It's, let's help as many people as we can. And if we can remove that stigma via a guy from Glasgow opening up about alcohol addiction or depression, when it's one of those places that we're expected to be, "Brr, we're Scottish,
mm.
we're fucking solid." But we're not. Do you know, we do suffer. Everybody isn't a caveman. Do you know, we didn't all fall off a Viking boat. We don't we don't all fucking break walnuts with our bare hands. Do you know that we suffer, mate? do you know you said it about your dog? Do you know I get that? I understand. It's hard, mate. Do you know?
Yeah.
And the vulnerability piece is exactly what the construction industry needs. We need more vulnerability. We don't need more managers saying, get him in and get him in for a drug and alcohol test, get him sacked. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Because is that going to make that person put them in a better place? Or is it going to push them closer to suicide? I think we both know the answer to that, mate. Do you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because might be a wee while ago or it might be a long time ago because I can't let the cat out of the bag with this, but there was somebody on the site that was mad with it and I tried to get them off site. I tried to chase them to get them to bloody hide. They wouldn't listen to me. And funnily enough, I think they were spotted and there was a DNA test beautifully arranged for him on the Monday morning and the boy lost his job. And it's like, do you know, I've been saying to him for months and months, there's drug and alcohol testers in here. I know I shouldn't be telling this because I'm telling tales out of school. I'm going against the health and safety handbook. But I shouldn't talk like this, mate, because you've got Craig, the health and safety guy, and Craig from Glasgow. That's the difference. And I've got morals. I'm not saying that guys should be on site intoxicated and smashed because I'd be the first one to chase them. But if we're drug and alcohol testing guys, what are we doing with them when they test positive? Are these guys getting straight in their cars and driving home? Of course they are. Are we doing anything about it? Of course we're bloody not. As long as they're off our site, you've still got that duty of care, but that's okay. Look, you're not our problem. Just toddle off. To me, there's got to be something there when it comes to education. Do you know, there's a guy...
You know, sorry, Craig, one
No,
thing
you
I'd
go, mate.
say, right, is I've done a post about this, and then I actually had James on the podcast again to talk about this, and this zero tolerance. I absolutely hate it. I think it's the
Yeah,
most stupid thing in the world. Don't get me wrong.
disgust.
Yeah, same as you. If you have got an issue with drugs or alcohol, or even gambling, for example, because that's something new that's come into my eyeline sort of thing. Yes, you can't be on site. That's a fact. You're a hazard to yourself, you're a hazard to other people. Okay, fine. Let's remove you from site, but let's give you some safeguarding. Let's give you some coaching,
100%.
counseling. Let's do something to get you back on site as quick as we can, but also find ways to actually protect you, especially with the suicide rates in construction.
Yeah.
We're the
But
worst industry there is in this country. We need to start
the, only,
supporting our guys.
the only thing is, though, mate, that costs money. Do you know, it's easier to sack Craig, it's easier to sack Vish, it's easy to sack us too. Do you know, well, not even sack us because it's gross misconduct. So you've got your policy, you've got everything there. Do you know, the chat I did last week with the company I won't name, and we're speaking about HR and we're talking about everything. Oh, it's great. And we've got policies, we've got procedures, everything is hunky-dory. It's not hunky-dory. It's wrong. It's morally bloody wrong. We're in 2025, nearly getting into 2026, and we're still hitting it with this same old shit that you fail a drug test, you're sacked. Educate somebody. Do you know, like, sit somebody down and say, do you actually know what drugs and alcohol do to your system? Do you know, you're getting a second chance? And it's funny because I was speaking about this a few weeks ago and I said that to somebody. It's like you even look at it years ago. What did Jesus say? He who is without sin cast the first stone. Who hasn't had a drink and went to work when we shouldn't have? Who hasn't done something, smoked a joint or done whatever when we shouldn't have? We've all bloody done it, mate. Do you know? So for people in ivory towers to tout with this that, oh, you shouldn't do that. Mate, how many people were out on a Christmas night out at the weekend or
Yeah.
this weekend or next weekend? They're going to be doing the same old stuff. Do you know, if you've got a Christmas party, sit in the corner and watch everybody going in twos and threes to the toilet. Do you know what? Everybody's doing it. So why do we not have a look at it and say, let's just get down to brass tacks? This is not working. Do you know, we need to be spending a bit of time with people and educating them and trying to bring the suicide rate down, which is disgusting. If you believe the rumours
Mm.
with the Office of National Statistics. It's,
Yeah.
what, 48% in 2 years? Mate, it's not going to get any better. Why is the reason for not publishing the statistics? Do you know, it's not right.
Craig, where do you think construction needs to be then? Because we can always talk about the negatives, because I think negatives are something that attracts people. You know, that's the hook. But let's flip it on its head. Let's talk about the positives and let's see, where would you envision construction to be in 5 years' time if you could have that dream come true?
I would dearly love to see construction maintain a lot of its ethos. Do you know, I know you'll look at me and go, what the is he talking about? Construction's beautiful.
Yeah, I
You
use
won't
that as
like
well. Yeah.
this. You
No, I
will
will go
hate
on.
it because it is a wee bit backwards. It is a wee
Mm,
bit strange. It's full of hairy ass men chatting shit and maybe getting into fights and maybe arguing over whose football team's worse, do you know, or whose coupon got beat at the weekend. But they're the salt of the earth guys that we need to defend these guys. It can't. It's something that, going with current trends, I know we touched on it a tiny bit before this podcast and I won't go into it too much, but it's something that needs to keep a hold. It's meaning, because I think when we start bringing in things that exist nowadays into the construction industry, we're going to lose a hell of a lot of men. And we're 8 million down on 2010. Do you know, so that's a hell of a lot of men that the construction industry's down. How do we get young people back into the game? Do you know, is there
mm,
something that, going in a kind of new age way of thinking, is it something that we bring AI into the game? Do you know, is that something that gets young guys and girls thinking about coming into the industry? It's getting that money in there as well. I mean, I'm working on a big job in Glasgow, but I can't think of many major construction projects that are round about Scotland.
mm,
Most of the work seems to be in London or HS2 or whatever, do you know? So clearly a greater share of the wealth, do you know, throughout the UK would certainly do wonders to try and get people back in. But when you look at it, mate, I know that's a hard one that I'd broached that subject to say that it needs to keep a hold of some of its ethics. But when you look at the suicide statistics and the addiction statistics, it's just bloody wrong. We need to
mm,
have a look and say, right, what's going wrong? But sit down with the guys at the coalface, because these guys, they're the ones that it's going to influence. I can't sit in an ivory tower and sit and say, oh, I think this is what's best for do you know, the plebs down in the ground. I think we get you guys involved. Do you know,
mm,
who knows more about addiction and drugs and porn and all these other addictions, gambling? Who are the people? And listen, I'm not saying for 1 second that managers and apprentices and that aren't affected by this as well, but who's the vast majority? Do you know, it's
mm,
these guys. It's the guys that are working the 12-hour shifts. It's the guys that are away for their kids and their families. These are guys that have got nothing else to do at night apart from sit in the pub or sit in a hotel room and get blind drunk and maybe
yeah.
have a wee cry. Do you know, that because they missed their family? We need to get these people talking. Do you know, I could badge up the best parts of the construction industry because I 100% with all of my heart adore the construction industry. And I wish everybody shared that kind of same passion as me. But the public perception and the stereotype of construction workers is just manky, smelly people. That, you know, it's full of foreigners, it's full of foreign nationals, it's full of tinkers. Do you know, it could be further for the truth. Do you know,
Mm,
I loved being in construction, and I still do to this day. And if it wasn't for the fact that, unfortunately, one of my mates get killed, then I would probably still be on the tools, mate. Do you know, because I loved it. And the patter and the banter is just
yeah.
off the charts.
It's really interesting you say this because I think there's a key word here, and that's culture. And I think the culture from back in the day, it was actually very much bullying. And I don't think we need to go, and that's one of the ethoses we probably don't want to continue with. But I completely agree with you. Like, I know for 100% fact, when you're sitting there, when it's like -6 degrees, it's freezing, and you just need to have some banter. You know, like no, I've got some stories to tell you. But it's like, this is, again, it's so hard to talk about this stuff because somebody will potentially get upset about it. But the truth is, I remember it being ice cold outside, and we're all just standing in a circle. There's about six of us stood in a circle, like sitting on our vans, and one guy just he pulled down his trousers, but not all of that, so his butt's on show, starts dancing, and all of a sudden, every single person, it just lifted the spirit. Now, I'm not saying guys should drop their trousers, but I'm saying that that type of culture, it is quite funny, it's amusing,
Aye,
it's very laddie, but then the question comes in of it's not very appropriate. So then we're trying to find that balance between still having that culture, but also being appropriate, especially with more women coming into construction. We don't
100%,
really
mate.
want, the guys pulling down the trousers and stuff like that.
Aye.
So where do we find that balance? How do we find that culture to
That is the
essentially
hard
not?
that is the hard thing, mate. Is the world's moved on. Do you know what
Mm,
I said to my mum and dad at the weekend that the world they grew up in doesn't exist anymore. The world I grew up in doesn't exist anymore. The world you grew up in doesn't exist. The world nowadays, it's hard for us guys to take that are used to. I mean, I would say to you, mate, that banter, the fine line between banter and bullying, do you know, but that fine line was like there when we were younger.
mm, yeah.
Nowadays, that fine lines, it's came down. Do you know, people are more easily offended. People are looking for that to get offended. Do you know? Whereas
Mm,
I quite enjoy the job that I'm on just now because it's me and I've maybe got about 150 Poles in my squad. So they
mm.
teach me the funny Polish words and I teach them the funny Glaswegian words. So I've got Polish guys going about calling each other ball bags and and I go about calling them curvas and it just goes back and forth. So when I
I
come on to
actually I think it's Gurva. So it's like Gurdasto. Yeah, yeah. You gotta have the yeah.
but when I do it, mate, I sound like a fucking vampire. Oh, it's like bloody Count Von Count. No, no, that's it. But it's funny because they teach me all sorts of stupid words, do you know? And
Mm,
then I'll say, what was the one like speared ally, right? So the
okay,
speared
go
allies F off, right? So that, if you hear somebody say that to you, that's exactly what that is. And schmear gel is smelly, right?
okay.
Somebody farted in the office the other day, and I was like, speared ally smear gel. But I thought speared ally was bastard. So I thought it was smelly bastard I was saying, but I was actually saying fuck off smelly. And they're all looking like, Craig, no, no, don't say that. And I was like, what? Speared ally smear gel. And they're like, no, that means fuck off smelly. And I'm like, no, you told me it was bastard.
I love how you're educating them now. Like, no, you actually told me this.
Oh, no, you told me that smear gel's this and that. Mate, they call me the Scottish Pole because I just walk about trying to speak to them on Polish. But it's
Mate,
again,
love it.
mate, you don't get that in any other industry. Do you know?
Mm,
It's and these guys, like I speak to a lot of them, and they say I absolutely love Scotland, I love the
mm,
UK for that matter, because the people are so much similar to the Polish people that it's just a laugh. Do you know?
mm,
And I get that it might not be myself and Polish guys having a laugh and you hear it or somebody else hears it and they go, whoa, that's offensive. Do you know? And I get that, mate. Do you know, as I'd said to you before, I can laugh about Scottish people. I can laugh about being white. I can laugh about being a Christian or a Rangers supporter. I can laugh at all these things and I don't take offence. But as I'd said to you before this, I've not walked a mile in your shoes, mate. I don't know what's offensive to other people and I don't know how the kind of the level of abuse that people have got through their lives. So who am I to say that, well, you can't be offended by that? Do you know? And I think it's a good thing that new generations are teaching us these things that, you know, you and I bantering 5 years ago on the building site would have been a hell of a lot worse than it is now, because we are a wee bit more PC. Do you know, we're actually, everybody's starting to learn from one another. Do you know? And it's funny
Well, I think
because there was a site that I worked on, and I think I was saying to you about the guy before this, and there was a guy on site and he was an absolute scumbag, and he mentioned something that I felt was quite racist, and I said to him, I said, just get your stuff and TF. Spear Dalai. See if you were listening. I was
there you
like,
go.
just fuck off. Do you know? And the guy said, oh, but that's not racist. I said, well, I think you'll find that you've offended that guy and you've offended me. Oh, it's woke bullshit. It's woke this and that and snowflakes. And I went, mate, I'm from Glasgow and you've offended me. Do you know?
Says something.
Just get to fuck. Do you know? If I'm offended by it, do you know, then that tells you something, mate. And if you hurt somebody's feelings, you're just a scumbag. Do you know? And thankfully that racist piece of shit was kicked off site, and I think there was another 3 or 4 joined them. But at the end of the day, the boy came up to me that was abused, and he said, Craig, listen, thanks. Nobody does that. Nobody speaks like that. And nobody speaks up for my kind like that. And I went, well, mate, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're pink, purple. I don't care, mate. I don't care if you're a Sikh or a Muslim or a Protestant or a Catholic. If you're a nice guy and you're nice to me, I don't see anything. Do you know? And that's kind of hard when it comes to banter for me, mate. Do you know? Because I don't set out to offend anybody. Do you know? And I think that's sometimes construction workers can feel that way, that I need to watch what I'm saying because I might say something that offends somebody. Do you know? And I suppose if you're thinking that, then you probably will offend somebody. Do you know?
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I think what we're both saying here is we want the construction industry to change for the better without without forgetting the personality of it.
Yeah.
But also, I think there's a big difference, right? For me personally, I've worked in offices and I've worked on construction sites, and I'll be honest, I don't fit in very well with that professional, suited, booted, quiet room tapping away at a computer. I don't fit in well there. But on a construction site, I thrive and I feel alive.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm on the 14th floor and it's ice cold and there's no windows, it's a concrete block. I will freeze, but I'll be happy. So we've got to understand and appreciate that when we have the corporate world telling the guys on the tools how they should be, it doesn't work. We're completely different people. We've got the same mission and we're aligned to get this project completed and be paid, but we're different.
And there's the thing, mate. But who are the people that set out the policies and the procedures? It's not the guys.
Well, this is it.
It's not the guys that are like you and me. It's not the guys that are freezing their bollocks off. It's the people in an office. They're saying, listen, and this contravenes section 1.6 that says about no racism on site and no bigotry and no this and that. And you're like, yeah, we understand that, but our definition of it is a hell of a lot different to yours because where you grew up, do you know who your friends were? Everything's different, mate, and it's culture. It's a total different culture, and even, I mean, it takes me, I think I'd said to you, it takes me about 1/4 of an hour to get around boys that I'm briefing in the mornings because the Polish people like to shake hands. So every morning I walk in and I go, Dzień dobry, cześć, dzień dobry, cześć. Every single bloody person, about 150 hands, cześć, dzień dobry. But the guys adore that because I'm making an effort to speak to them. I'm making an effort to shake their hands. That's something so bloody simple, mate. But like the boys that I work with, 2 English boys and a Scottish boy, and they laugh at it. And I'm like, that's how they do things, do you know? And if that makes these guys happy, then I'll do it. Oh, but there's a new strain of COVID going about. I don't give a fuck about COVID. That's what these guys do. And do you know what? If it makes them feel a wee bit more at home in Scotland, I'll do what it's
Why
got to
not?
do. Do you know? It's
Yeah. No,
if I'm gonna
I
try
don't
and make
think
them happy.
COVID's a good excuse, because not to be rude, but most
Exactly.
construction sites, you are like that. You're pretty much working back to back with people, so I don't think shaking a hand is going to make much of a bloody difference.
Nah,
Um,
exactly, mate.
so it's really interesting. So like understanding that the professional office culture is different to the trades culture, but the office culture is actually setting the standard for for the trades. This is where I feel the clash is happening the most. I think there needs to be some sort of balance where, like you said, like I really enjoy the construction culture. I fit in there. My personality
Yeah.
thrives there. I enjoy it. I laugh. I laugh so hard that, you got like stitches, you're just cracking up and laughing. But, and don't you, I find this all the time, that you get those guys who walk into the office and try have a laugh and everyone's just really straight faced and they're just like, oh my God, he's got a personality. And I'm not saying office people don't have a personality, but they bloody hide it. And
No, it's
you
just
know what I mean?
different. It's just
Very
different,
different.
mate. I mean, we've
Yeah.
got like I think what you were saying there. I think what you were kind of alluding to was the fact that there's no middleman. There's
Yeah.
nobody.
There's
I
none.
know. I don't even know what you could say now. Is it a middle person, a middleist or something? There's nobody. There's nobody in that middle
Yeah.
that's going to bridge both the gaps. And it's funny, mate, because that's what I see as myself. I
That's what
see
I was just
me
about to
as
say.
that guy that I've been there. I've been on the tools. I know exactly how it feels. I know how hard it is. But I'm also office staff. And that's the hard thing is when I go from on site to being in the office, I just sit there like fucking Hannibal Lecter at a Silence and Alarms. I just, just, they just put a mask on me and hello there, Clarice. It's like, Craig's going to say something fucking stupid. Stick a mask on him.
I just find it really fascinating. But I want to ask you a question, right? And this is obviously coming towards health and safety. One is I personally feel health and safety is a bit delusional sometimes. And I'll give you an example. And this is where I think it's so important to have people in these positions come from the tools. And I'll give you a really
100%.
annoying. I got yellow carded for this, right? And this was a few years ago now, but I got yellow carded. I'm like the most innocent person ever, and I got bloody yellow carded. And you want to know why? I was stood on a podium, right, with a concrete ceiling above me. If I worked on the podium with a hard hat on, I would have to physically tilt my head to work. So
Aye.
what I would do is I'd take my hard hat off, put it on the podium, I'd work comfortably, then when I get off, I'd put the hard hat on. Health and safety guy comes over to me and he's like, can't do that,
Yeah.
mate. I'm like, but otherwise I'm working like that for freaking 8 hours a day. Drip, it's uncomfortable. And I got yellow carded for that. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. And I got into a bit of trouble with the manager, but then I told the manager and he's like, well, you know, but what do you do in situations like that? Like, we
So,
can't have that.
so for me, mate, I mean, my dad had said to me years ago, he said, everything in the construction industry and health and safety, it's all common sense. But what's the one thing about common sense? It's not very common.
Well, exactly it.
See, that's it. That sums it up, mate. If that's me, don't tell anybody that I work with. If that's me and I see you, I'm like, I get it. I understand. See the minute you jump off that, get the hard hat on, and that's
Yeah,
it.
simple.
There's
That's
no
it.
there's
Yeah.
no yellow card. There's nothing. That's my rule book. Do you know? I know
Mm.
that contravenes health and safety, and I know that you'll probably have health and safety people listening to this podcast going, "No, sack him. He's the
Yeah.
devil." But mate, things. See, if we're on this job just now, right? And I was speaking to health and safety guys, and you've got cladding to go on, a bit of external steel work, and then it's internals. It's all you guys that come in. It's the clean construction workers, the
Leave
Sparkies.
it at.
Do you know?
Leave it at.
All the
I swear,
Sparkies are
everyone
coming.
who comes on my podcast has to have a dig about
Would
me
you
being a
look at
Sparky.
that? The floor's dirty, Clarence.
You nutter.
So, and I said to one of the guys, but just looking at it, and I said, well, do you know what? See if we had directed this building by the book from day dot, we would probably still be concreting the founds. Do you know?
Mm.
And it's out the ground Do you know, it's 2 years, 18 months, 2 years for completion, allegedly. But again, if you did everything by the book, mate, you wouldn't get anywhere. And any health and safety person that thinks you can do everything by the book is an absolute throbber, and they are delusional. Do you know, there
Yeah.
is no chance. Sometimes, guys, and I say to the guys on the site, I get that. Sometimes you do need to cut a corner, but remember the mate Davy. Remember Davy. Do you want to be Davy? Because if you can seriously put up with that and you can live with that, go ahead, be my guest. Work as unsafe as you like. If I'm not there, work as unsafe as you like. Do you know, if you can seriously deal with being the guy that watched one of his friends die, or you can be that guy that can put yourself at risk without thinking about your kids, you be that guy. Do you know, that's your choice. Do you know, because I can guarantee you 9.9% of safety guys will, if they've got any gumption and any sense about them, they'll have covered their own arse. Do you know, and by that I mean everything will be in toolbox talks, everything will be in briefings, everything will be in training. They'll have so many things to cover their own arse, mate, if they've got any kind of sense about them. And that is health and safety 101 in a nutshell. Do you know, I should be like the health and safety whisperer or something. Like, see, you get the guys and it's like you pixelate my face and it's like, who is this guy? And then when I speak, it's like, yes, I am a whistleblower. They go, it's Craig, the grassing bastard.
Mate, I think you'll suit you, and I'm joking. I love winding you up, though. It's brilliant. Okay, so look, right, we've spoken so much about everything, but I wanna ask you a serious question now. So you got to put a serious cap on. Do you think? Look, well, you can't smile.
Mate, I can't. I'm not going to promise.
Genuinely think, right? We can improve mental health in the construction industry, and I'm going to debate it if you say no.
I genuinely do believe 100%,
Wicked.
110%. Yes, we can change it. But do you know why it won't change? Because
It was going
nobody
so well.
gives a fuck. No, I say nobody. You look at it, right. The amount of money that goes into construction, maybe 1%, 2%, 5 tops percent of people care. Do you know, you've got a lot of these big, massive contractors that it's pizza day. It's getting a guy like myself in to tell his story and talk about Davy and addiction and all these things. We get it one day of the year. But
Mm,
we've already spoke about this, who is in that room that's at the front face? Do you know who's in
mm,
that room? We're having conferences. Are you inviting the rough, tough construction workers or sparks or plumbers? Are we inviting these guys into these meetings? Of course we're not. Do you know we've got conferences there that are the best of the best, the bourgeois, and we're not inviting wee Tam and Bobby because of where they're from. Do you know? And if we genuinely cared, I mean, we spoke about a few things on this, Fish. If they genuinely cared, we would rip up these drugs and alcohol policies, because I
mm,
guarantee you a lot of people are stressing, especially especially when it comes to Christmas. You get a lot of guys that are struggling to pay the bills, struggling to buy Christmas presents, and they're having to work. Do you know, we've got that stress on the guys that we're saying, you've got to work Saturdays, you've got to work Sundays. If you want to
yeah.
earn a wage, you've got to work overtime. Do you know?
Mm,
There's nothing. These guys are putting everything into the industry and they're getting absolutely nothing back. Do you know? That's your pizza days, your guys coming onto site to talk. That's all great, mate. And it is, I'm not going to lie, it is good when we've got people like myself, like yourself, that can come in and have these chats. But what are we going to do? I mean, how many years has this been going on for? I remember seeing Jason Anchor. I mean, and I like Jason. I still talk to Jason. And it's
mm,
like, spoke to Jason, when was that? 12 years ago, 15 years ago, when he did a road show with Balfour Beatty. Still happening, mate. People are still climbing up ladders. People are still acting the goat. people are still drinking themselves to death, doing drugs. Do you know what's it going to take? Do you know? And I say it all the time, mate. If this is the status quo, it's wrong, it's broken, and we need to fix it. But there's not so much of there's not. I'm not saying there's a reluctance to change it, but it's certainly not at the top of anybody's agendas. It's top of my agenda, and I'm pretty sure it's top of yours, and James, and Steve, and everybody else. It's right at the top of your agenda, mate. But these guys at the top, do they really care? Do you know, if you're from, trying to think of a posh area down south, do you know, but
Go
Newton Mearns
Kensington.
and say Kensington. So if I'm from Kensington, what do I give a fuck about Craig from Glasgow that's away from his kids and all that when I'm earning 150 grand a year and getting my expenses paid? Why should I care about that scumbag? Do you know? And I think there's such a divide. You'd said it earlier. There's a divide from the guys at the coalface to the people in the office. For the people in the office to these directors, there is such a wide gap that the guys at the coalface don't get in. They don't get invited to anything. They get toolbox talks rammed down their throat. They get briefings rammed down their throat. And do you know what? Everything gets blamed on the supervisors. That's my gripe. That's Craig's gripe of the day. Every fucking thing gets blamed on the supervisors. Get that guy triple STS. See, if you're listening to this call and you get offered triple STS, tell them to go and take a flying F to themselves, because you are next in the ladder to get shot down, and they will blame the supervisors for absolutely everything, mate. It's criminal.
Well, that's not changed.
No.
And since we're forever. Okay, so let me ask you a question, right? So, okay, in the 1970s or whenever, or 1960s, there was, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, well, I'll say a couple of hundred fatalities from workplace accidents. And, last year, 2024, there was 35. So we've actually managed to improve fatalities through health and safety by a ridiculous amount, right? And now we look at suicides, and last year, provisionally, there was 355 suicides, so it's over 10 times the amount of fatalities than health and safety. So we've already proved that construction can change for the positive, but it takes a long time. So is it that those people in Kensington or those office workers, they just don't have the education around mental health, mental well-being, and then once they have that education, they will implement it, because it comes back to something you said about that one key word, empathy. Construction lacks empathy, but if we can educate empathy, then would that like speed up the process of reducing the suicide rates?
I think you're right, mate. I think it could. Empathy's a great thing to have, mate. But when you're not in that circle, when you're so far on the outskirts that you don't even see it, do you know, should you care? Here's something that's just popped into my head, right? And this is, I don't know where this came from, right? I just looked at my Christmas tree sitting there and I just thought of this for some reason. People getting killed in Africa for their religion, for instance, right? Whether it's Muslim or Christian or whatever it may be, right? You've got people over there. Do we care about it? I know we care about it and I know we empathise, right? But if it's not in the TV and it's not in the radio and it's not in there, do we listen to it or do we turn off the TV? Because I know for me, like, I don't watch the news anymore because it depresses me a bit too much. I'm pretty sure you're the same, and I know a lot of people that are very similar. So if you almost ignore the fact that it goes on, does it bother you? Do you know, for these guys, right? That's the point that I'm making. Plus the fact you mentioned 1974 with the Health and Safety at Work Act. It's the Health and Safety at Work Act. So when you look at suicides, where are most suicides happening, mate? Happening in the house. So is it Health and Safety in the House Act? So if people are losing their lives to suicide, unfortunately, outside of work, the HSE aren't going to do anything about it. But that's something that I've campaigned about for years, and I know the likes of Steve Kerslake, and do you know, there's loads of guys out there that are great guys, Andy Stevens. I know the guys are trying their damnedest to get suicide riddled reportable. I put a post on a few years back, and the amount of vitriol I got from health and safety guys was disgusting.
Mm.
Very lacking in empathy, less empathetic than
So
you or
here's a,
I. But
so here's an interesting thing, right? Okay, so we can't necessarily fight for that because we can't control what happens in the house. You're absolutely right, and there's no, it's very black and white in that sense. But what we can do is start building awareness of why it's happening. For example, working 60, 70-hour weeks, working in conditions where there's no toilets. I know grown men who take a poo in the back of their van,
yeah,
stick it in a black bin bag, and then dash it out. Like this stuff is happening day in, day out. And there's no ifs and buts about it. So can we build awareness around the conditions construction workers are in, day out, to
100%.
implement that positive change? Because I think,
100%.
because I genuinely believe, like, let's go back to the Africa analogy. uh, If I had awareness about it, I would care because it's a
Of
human
course.
being, and I'm a strong
100%.
believer of, I don't care if you're from whatever part of the world, what gen, I don't care about anything. We're all the same. So if
Yes.
I have the awareness, I have the empathy. So now, do you think we need to build the awareness and consistently push the awareness out there?
Aye. Yeah, no, 100%, mate. And it's one of the hard things is, I mean, you threw out a number there, 355.
That's right.
The one I'd heard was double that. Do you know, it was the
700.
749 was the one that
Yes.
I'd heard up for
So 700.
507. But
So
that's, but even,
749 was from 2023, and this was a provisional number. So
yeah, but even with that,
ONS hasn't got the actual facts yet.
so how could you and I raise awareness on it when the Office of National Statistics isn't willing to give us that information? Do you know that
Yeah.
it's I know it's silly, mate, and I'm not debating. It's
No, no,
just
no.
that
You're right.
fact that
You're right.
how in
Yeah.
the fuck can we raise awareness?
Mm,
Brothers in the craft, it
mm,
sounds quite witchy there or Masonic, but as brothers in the craft, how exactly can we raise awareness when we're being treated like mushrooms? Do you know, fed shite
mm,
and kept in the dark? How are we meant to talk about this? Do you know, if it's not for guys like Andy and Steve and the likes, if it's not for the guys trailblazing and smashing doors to get this kind of information, what we're going to do is sit with 2021 stats and we're nearly in
mm,
2026. Mate, it's just not good enough. And that unfortunately is the status quo in the UK that we just persevere with. It's good old Britain. Do you know, if you start
mm.
thinking about suicides in construction, we'll just throw something else in your way. We'll just up the tax, do you know? And that's me maybe being a wee bit too tin hattish about it. But people always think, oh, there's more important things to worry about. We should worry
Mm.
about this more. Well, you actually shouldn't. Do you know, this
So,
is my industry and that's why I bang the drum so bloody loud. Do you know?
so, so here's the interesting thing, right? The construction industry is 251,000 workers short. We need 83,000 workers every single year for the next 3 years. We're also looking to build an additional 1.5 million homes just in the UK. We're losing 2 construction workers to suicide every single day or working day, depending on which statistic you're following. And over like close to 50% of apprentices are dropping out. So the truth is, there's clearly a mental health issue in construction. If we want retention in our staff, in our workers, starting at the bottom all the way to the top, like QSs are under ridiculous
Yeah.
amounts of pressure as well, and they're quite high up. We have to acknowledge we will not have the staff to fulfill our projects,
Yeah.
and then there's going to be an issue, and that's when the top people will start going, oh crap. So I don't think it's about banging on the doors and going, oh, we need to change this right now, and start giving everyone a shake. That would really freaking hurt my arm doing that. Whoa. um
Karma, mate. That's a bit of karma.
what I get for being passionate. No, but I don't think it's about banging on doors. I think it's about providing education to those who are going to listen. And people at the top, they don't want people banging on the doors. They want They want real life stories like the ones you share, Steve Kirby shares, James Fulcher. There's a bank of us who are doing it. And
Yeah.
that's why I think it's so important. It's so important to have consistently push out that message and never give up. What was his name? James Anchor or Jason Anchor, sorry.
Jason Anker.
He's been doing it 12 years, or through his accident. He can't stop. It has to keep going because every story he shares, we're not looking to reach a million people. We're reaching one person and we want to change one person's mind. And that's what we want from this podcast. We want to change one person's mind so that they can then change one person's mind. And I think it's a domino effect, which will take, 5 to 10 years still. Well, I think it will
See,
happen though.
for every podcast like this, mate, there's got to be something. That's why I always introduce comedy into things, because
Hmm.
we're so bloody serious. Do you know,
Hmm.
everything is so bloody serious. Oh, that's get your hard hat on. Oh, that's a yellow card. Fuck
Hmm.
off. Do you know it? Just we need to be able. I mean, I get a bit of crack with the boys, and I go, whoa, nah, yellow card, get the fuck. And it's a bit of crack, mate. Do you know,
Hmm.
there's got to be an element of humour there,
Yeah.
because we are taken so seriously, and our industry is bereft by suicide, is bereft by addiction and mental health and all the ills of society, mate. You
Hmm.
said it, guys, grown men shitting in a bag
Yeah.
like
Happens.
Borat. Do you know, it just, why do we not just get something that is a UK-wide open bloody survey and get
Hmm.
people to answer the questions? What do you think's the good things? These apprentices that are there for 6 months and they bugger off,
Hmm.
speak to them, get their opinions, because the guys at the top need to know. I mean, you look at it, mate. How many times do you get one of these surveys that gets sent out and it's company wide? The guys don't do it. The guys are like, well, what benefit am I getting out of this? Do you know? And
Hmm.
part of me being the middleman is I sit down with the guys and I say, listen, if every single one of you puts it down as a 1 out of 10 and you're thinking about
Hmm.
leaving the company, they're going to want to know why. Do you know?
Hmm.
They will want to know why. Do you know,
Hmm.
that is the, I don't care who you are, director wise. If you've got an open survey there, which when you do your audits, when you look at an audit and an auditor comes in, they say, well, hang on a minute, why do 40% of your staff want to leave? And why is that 40% all in the coalface? Do you know, they've got to ask those questions. Do you know, but there's got
But
to
the thing
be
is, Craig, the thing
transparency.
is, right? The thing is with those surveys, right? We both know this because I've read enough of them now. They're all directive questions. They know the
Aye,
answer. They ask
100%, mate.
questions which make them look good. So I see why the guys on site don't do it. I get it. I
But
wouldn't do it either.
surely, if there is that, mate, though, if there's something there that I don't know if Steve or myself or you or somebody or every one of us, because I can't do this myself, you can't do it yourself, neither can
Mm,
Steve or James or anybody. But
yeah.
surely, if we all put our heads together, and surely if the CITB get involved or the CSCS,
Mm,
whoever the fuck it is, if these guys, the CIOB, if we can get these people in on this and we say, listen, this is for the fall of the UK, even if you put it out to Unite the Union, whoever it is, I don't know who's
mm,
in control of construction nowadays. It might be Unite, but surely for Unite, I mean, I called out the unions years ago, and I said, where is everybody? Because I never see the union on sites anymore. Do you? When
mm.
was the last time you saw a union rep
No.
on your site?
Yeah. I find it's even hard to get hold of a HR person in the company I work
Exactly.
for. So yeah. But
Therein lies the problem, mate, is the fact
mm,
that if we've got people that I'm sure it was 18 million Unite took in a couple of years back, and I'd said to them, well, what exactly is it you're doing? What are you
mm,
doing for that money? Do you know? But surely, and listen, I'm not getting back involved with that argument, but surely there must be somebody out there that's listening to this that's from Unite or they're from somewhere that they can say, do you know what? Every single person that pays into Unite or pays into whatever it is, we're going to send out a survey. It's a QR code, and we're just going to ask you 50 questions. Do you know how would you rate it? whatever it
You
is,
don't
mate.
even need 50 questions. You need five
Ah,
good questions,
5
five to
good
10 good
questions.
questions. That's it. That's all you need. And
Or
you'll get a good in-depth
10,
knowledge.
15 multiple choice, including some, listen, tell me exactly what you think. And you probably would find that you've got people, health and safeties. I
So,
can't
do
remember the
you
phrase
want to
you
know
used.
something? Do you want to know something interesting, Craig? I actually did this survey through my own money, and I done it on Facebook ads, right? So they were completely anonymous. I still don't know who these people are. And some of the biggest issues I got was we don't matter. Nobody cares about us. Nobody gives a shit about us. And I can only assume that it come from supervisor down. But here's the thing, right?
Why?
Construction is 85% men. So when we actually look at the bigger picture, fudge. Oh, that one really hurts.
What? How big is the picture, mate?
Oh, that really got me, that one. I've got to stop moving my hands about. This is why I've got this ball, so I keep my hands down at the moment.
So you're playing with your balls. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, my big yellow one.
Shocking, mate.
Oh, you love it. Stop it. You love it. Um, no, but like what I'm saying is like outside, like so in construction, 85% is men. And when we look at the bigger picture outside of construction, men's mental health is absolutely in shambles. So clearly we need to also focus on the issues men are facing outside of the workplace and then start building their confidence and bring it into the workplace because they'll bring that confidence and that happiness and that positivity with them. But again, that's a huge, huge, huge bloody task to be on, you know?
Lord, it is, mate. But if you can identify the problem,
Hmm.
if you can identify the problems, it's like me saying to you, what are the issues in the construction industry? And you going, well, there's
Hmm.
and we've maybe got about 100 problems. But if we get the main ones that are there, do you know, and that is one of the top ones, guys saying nobody gives a shit about us. That's certainly up the top. Do you know, if it was catchphrase, I'd be imagining it's like wee 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 because that is the top answer. It's, do you know, it's got to be, mate. So what do we do to re-engage the directors
Hmm.
back to these guys at the coalface? Do you know that
Yeah.
there's got to be something, mate? There's got
You
to be
know what?
something.
Yeah. I actually think, and this is going to sound quite bad, but I will say it out loud anyway. I think it's generational. I think back in the day, you got the 50, 60-year-old health and safety executives, not all of them, but I believe a lot of them, they don't believe in mental health. They don't understand it. But the new crowd coming in, God, are they passionate about it? They really do want to implement a
Yeah.
positive change because they've got partners at home who they can see are affected by mental health. And I do think we're going to, you know what, I think we're both on the same page. I think we have the hope
Yeah.
that empathy is improved and mental health and suicide rates also improve in the construction industry. But Craig,
Hope
I've
so.
just looked at the time and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it's been an hour and 15 minutes. So I want to round this up by asking you a couple questions. One is, I think you've answered quite a lot of my questions, to be fair. But if there's any advice you could give the construction industry, anyone listening to this podcast, what's your top advice you can give them?
Best advice that I can give people is what you were saying. Just relaxing the bloody yellow cards and red cards. Just cool it, relax, start looking at policies, changing policies, procedures. Do you know, speak to Nick McMurray, who's actually a good friend of mine, that he had mentioned this, that if you get caught in Stirling, not in Stirling, if you get caught in Carlisle speeding, that's you. You've got to go and sit. You don't lose your license automatically, but you've got to go and sit was it a speed awareness course or something that they do in England? So there you go. If you get caught and why would we not think of entertaining something like that in the construction industry? Because as I said earlier, we've all sinned, mate. Do you know, there's not one of us that's squeaky clean. So let's look at it. It was just a bit of luck that you didn't get caught. I didn't get caught, and 99.9% of the construction industry didn't get caught. Do you know, unfortunately, there are people that do. I think that's something that desperately needs looked at. You mentioned it there about directors. Do you know that the money men need to get off their asses and get to the coalface and start having actual conversations, because even a lot of safety people I know couldn't pick the guys out of a lineup. Do you know? And there was actually a safety director that pulled me on one of my last contracts and said to me, "You're too close to the men." And I said, "What?" And he says, "You're too close to the men." And I said, "Well, excuse me, ex-policeman, but I know every single one of the guys. I know if they've got a wife. I know if they've got kids. I know what football team they support. I know where they are in the UK. That's just me, because if I tell these guys where I'm from and what's passionate to me, then the guys will trust me and the guys will open up to me if they've got any issues, which, do you know, you can't get that sitting in an ivory tower. Do you know, get out and speak to the
It's called
guys.
relationship building, right? And that's all it is. It's as
100%.
simple as that. You know,
Well,
you
what is
treat
it? What
people
is
how
it?
you want to be treated.
And what is it we say about communication? Communication's key. Communication's key. Do you know, we say it all the bloody time, and then what do we do? So just don't talk to people. Do you know,
But the funny
it's
thing is,
wrong.
communication is key, but we've also got to understand that everyone's communication is different. So we've got to have that
100%.
diverse personality to just click with everyone. You know, you're not there to take their job. You're there to improve everyone's well-being. But my final question for you, Craig, and this is the most serious question I'll ask you, and I will ask you. I've asked you before, but I'm going to ask you again. Is how are you? You all right?
I'm no bad.
And you're not good. So you're
How
you're, you're
does
right
that
bang in the
grab you?
middle.
That's a good Glasgow phrase. I'm no
Yeah,
bad. So it's like, I'm more, put it this way, mate, I'm more glass half full than glass half empty. Do you know? And that changes on a day-to-day basis. But I'm not in that bad place, mate. Do you know, I've been in that bad place. I know what the triggers are. Do you know,
mm,
it's, and as I'd said to you earlier, mate, it's watching rubbish on the news, it's shit flicking on a mobile phone, it's all these bad things that just eat away at your soul, and then you just end up going, oh, why am I not a millionaire? Why have I not got a Lamborghini? Why is my wife not a supermodel? Do you know, mate, we just need to start looking at the fact that we've got the present. Do you know, and that's all we need. Do you know?
absolutely. No, I love that. I love that. And Craig, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the Onward Shift podcast. Like, honestly, I admire you, and I'll continue to admire you. And I think you're a huge inspiration to the construction industry. So, mate,
Thanks, mate.
honestly, absolutely incredible person you are.
Fucking love you.
I love you too, man. Sweet, mate. Thank you so much.
No worries, mate. Cheers.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Honestly, the more people we reach, the more support we can offer. And don't forget, Onward Shift isn't just a podcast. We've got a number of resources on our website, so please don't forget to check out www.onwardshift.com, where you'll find counsellors, keynote speakers, coaches, blogs, and so much more. Until next time, don't forget to keep having these important conversations.